Good afternoon, good folk. So, contrary to popular belief, there is no hierarchy in sin. I think the only place, I know the only place that a hierarchy of sin has come about is because of the world's view. But then even then, when we look at the laws, you can go to jail for lying in certain contexts, and you can also go to jail for murdering people. But then this just goes to a story that yesterday I was having a wonderful meal at a table of 5, and we were talking, and somehow it got to a point where one of the people at the table, who I'd already found to be a very genial person, was speaking about him and his boyfriends living together, this next year coming up. And I had to ask him to repeat himself because I wasn't exactly sure that I had heard him correctly. But that was indeed what I had heard. And, all throughout my life, though, whenever people who have differed from me in whatever kind of opinion they have, I never am quick to shut them down because, for one, I don't even really know them like that. For even if I do shut them down, that they would hold my words to any weight in their life, my opinion to any weight in their life. But two, it's never been my kind of thing, and maybe just because too, like, it's not even loving behavior to try and immediately talk to someone about what is right and what is wrong when you don't even know them like that to begin with. And later on after that meal, we'd go and we played some ping pong together, just him and I. He'd have to leave eventually though, because I was getting him sweating. I was definitely a better player than he was, but and so I just think it's so funny how we in this world look at some sin, whether it's homosexuality or whatever, to be worse than other sins like lying or stealing. But in God's eyes, all sin is the same. And those eyes are ultimately the ones that matter. And since there was only ever one person who never sinned in his entire life, and that was Jesus, but he is still able to love us human beings, and not only just love us, but made the greatest sacrifice. He literally gave his life on our behalves, and he still loves us. How much more so should we then, as human beings, be able to look at one another who we differ in opinion or in lifestyle and love each other? Because, we come from the same cloth. Jesus didn't even really come from our cloth, but he still loved us. Jesus was better than all of us, but he loved us enough to give his life for us. So I just wanted to talk about that and just really make that point that there is no hierarchy of sin. That hierarchy only comes in like that's no one is better than anyone else in this world. Jesus was humble enough to put himself to wash his own disciples' feet, when in reality they should have been the ones washing his feet. And so the greatest human being to ever step foot on this earth, if he can love us, then we should certainly be able to love one another all the more. But it's just funny how we operate like that. We think some things are worse than others, but in God's eyes, all things are just as bad. But fortunately, Jesus died on the cross for all of our sins, and it will be on his account that we pass through the gates of heaven, and not of anything that we did with our own 2 hands. The only thing that we did to get into heaven is just believe Jesus' sacrifice on the cross for us. So, enjoy the rest of your guys' day.